Magic fans, I'm Beef and welcome back to another standard gameplay video, and today we are featuring the best deck in the world, or should I say the best deck at Worlds. So a few weeks ago there was the annual MTG Worlds Championships, and the deck that won was a Dimir Demons deck piloted by Javier Dominguez. I think it was his second Worlds win. So in theory, this is the best deck in the world. So what is it? So as the name suggests, it is focused around demons, and it kind of has two main win conditions. The first one is just smashing with big demons. We do have 4 copies of Archfiend of the Dross, a 4-mana 6/6 flying, and when it enters with 4 oil counters on it. But the downside is at the beginning of your upkeep, remove an oil counter from the Archfiend. Then if it has no oil counters on it, you lose the game. However, whenever a creature an opponent controls dies, its controller loses 2 life. And then we have 2 copies of Doomsday Excruciator, another 6-mana 6/6 flying, and when it enters, if it was cast, each player exiles all but the bottom 6 cards of a library face down. At the beginning of your upkeep, draw a card. So these two can combine just to smash in for huge amounts of damage, but they do both have downsides that can cause us to lose the game. We also have a Demon Synergy / Demon in Unholy Annex, another new card from Duskmourn. So it's a room. So the first room is Unholy Annex, costs 3 mana, and it acts as a pseudo Phyrexian arena. But at the beginning of your end step, draw a card. If you control a demon, each opponent loses 2 life, and you can gain 2 life. Otherwise, we lose 2 life. So a great way to draw extra cards. And if we have a demon, it damages the opponent and gains his life. Otherwise, we do lose 2 life. And then for 5, we can unlock Ritual Chamber. It says when we unlock this door, create a 6/6 black demon creature token with flying. So the other win con, which is related to Doomsday Excruciator, is Jace Perfected Mind. So obviously Doomsday Excruciator means each player only has 6 cards left in their library. If we then play Jace and we minus X -5, doesn't really matter as long as it's more than 2. We basically met our opponent out, so beginning of their next turn, they draw with an empty deck and lose. And it is actually a really, really safe, hard to interact with combo, that's the right term, because so the Excruciator comes down, doesn't matter if it gets removed, because it's already done its damage when ETBs. And then with Jace, again, you get onto the battlefield, there is no time between getting on the battlefield and activating its -X for your opponent to interact with it. So as long as they don't have a counter spell, if you've resolved a Doomsday Excruciator and you can roll the Jace, you've won. And it is that simple. So the rest of the deck is basically just kind of making that happen. We do have 1 cut down, 4 dresses to get in an opponent's hand, 4 fairy masterminds to flash in and help draw additional cards, 2 spell stars, which I think is an interesting one. It's a 2-mana counter spell, or counter strike a spell unless its control pays 2, plus an additional 1 for each fairy we control. So obviously synergy with the mastermind. 3 Annoying Afflictions to deal with small creatures and deal with things like Heartfire Hero and Cacophony Scamp, which have on death triggers. 2 copies of Caustic Bronco. This is the deck by the world champion. I'm not going to give too much, what I would do, but I think this is the one card I think that didn't really fit for me. It's hard to saddle because we don't have anything with 3 or greater power apart from our demons. And yeah, you might Bronco and then Archfiend of the Dross to saddle, and it is a bit risky with the amount of high mana value cards we have. We can just smash ourselves for 6, but it does act as an additional draw. Then 4 go for the throat, 2 shoot the sheriffs. Mana base is interesting because of the 6 black mana we need for Excruciator. Every single land produces black mana apart from the 2 Fountain Port, so we have no basic islands, which is rare in 2-colour deck. But Gloom Lake Verge is basically a basic island and then can turn into a dual land when we control a swamp. Now the worlds are best of 3, so we do have a 15-card sideboard, so I have included it. I've not used the wild cards on everything because I don't think I've ever played a Dreams of Steel and Oil, but if I do, it's only uncommon. But I only have the 2 Jace, and I'm running out of mythic wild cards, so I've not crafted that. But here you can see, obviously, more counter spells, more removal, more hand action, and then Ghost Vacuum for Graveyard Hate. So that's the deck. Is it powerful? Yes, it is. Obviously, the difference is this deck's designed for best of 3, not best of 1. It is obviously quite slow, and best of 1 can be super, super fast. But yeah, it is the best deck at World, so it is the best deck in the world. I did have a great time playing it. It's really, really enjoyable, especially when, you know, you get the combo going, or you just draw loads of cards of Unholy Annex. I did actually lose a game once from Archfiend and Dross running out of counters, which I could have done better, but it was an interesting one. So I really hope you all enjoy it as well. And we've got Foundations coming next week, so hope you're all looking forward to that. I do think the first deck I'm going to play is an elf deck, as we'll be getting some pretty old and powerful elves back in standard, including Llanowar elves, one of the first and one of the best mana dorks ever. So looking forward to that next Tuesday. But if you do enjoy this deck, please remember to like and subscribe, and I'll see you all in the gameplay. Opponent goes first. We have an okay hand, lots of removal. Well, I think we just have to cut down the scamp now. Before they can grow it. Well, we will play out the Verge, hold up Fairy Mastermind, and shoot the Sheriff. They can get the Valiant trigger. I think I want to get down the reef and hold up the Fairy Mastermind with no more removal. We don't want to be taking too much damage from Unholy Annex. I'll hold the Fairy Mastermind back. Well, we are one land away from being able to play out the Excruciator.
Become subdued.
And there it is. Yeah, so next turn, unless they can take out Jace somehow. I don't understand what's going on with their hand. And we can just mill them for 7.
I will iterate on my performance. I will shatter your mind.
That is the combo kill. Maybe they just had a handful of spells, but no creatures after we removed their early threats. Opponent goes first. Hopefully Duress and Spell Stutter can hit interesting things. We'll take the Forge. Nope. I think we have to get down the Annex, start drawing extra cards, and hopefully we can get find a demon.
I have been reborn.
Oh, there is a demon. That's not the worst thing in the world.
Shine bright, hero.
It's going to hold up various removal.
More can be done.
Yeah, that's a bit of a problem.
Everyone deserves a second chance.
Well, let's shoot down one of their, and then we'll Fairy Mastermind. We won't block anything. Well, let's unlock a bit of life gain. And maybe next turn we can play down. Oh, okay. I think we get out our Archfiend. See if they've got another removal spell. They don't, just another Forge. Obviously, Forge and Archfiend of the Dross is a bit of a bad combo for them. Because it sacks. And I think this might just be game over. Because they're going to take 4 from Unholy Annex. We could have Gopher Throated their Rabbit token to cause them to take another 2. So, yeah, Unholy Annex plus Archfiend of the Dross. Well, any demon is really powerful, but Archfiend of the Dross, when they've got 2 Urabras Forges, means they're going to be taking 4 each turn, basically. We go first. I think we can duress them, see what they've got. And Fairy Mastermind obviously makes spell stutter a bit stronger. And they did mulligan. Well, I think we just hold up spell starter for their Manifold Mouse. And if they don't play it, we can play out Fairy Mastermind. But they do. let's take that frenzy. Do need more land. And yeah, just annoyed our opponents into submission. Basically, we didn't actually have a lot of juice left. We can play out the Mastermind, but against mono red, they aren't going to be drawing many extra cards, and obviously, and we needed another land to get that to be able to activate that draw trigger from it. Wow, we have no black, nothing to produce black for now. Well, untapped. But I suppose we can give this a go. Oh, let's play out a Bronco. It being saddle 3, not saddle 2, is really annoying. We're up against some kind of domain deck. A very slow domain deck. Suggests to me they have more, because that is a very, I think, slow, very bad target for Leyland Biden. Low priority, that's what the phrase I was looking for. And as only having one source of black mana isn't great.
The weak-minded will be educated in Phyrexia's ways. I know where to find all the answers.
Well, let's get into their hand. I think we can flash in Fairy Mastermind.
You can be made to obey.
Well, we know they have a Troxer. Wow. Well, let's go for the throat, their overlord. And attack down their Jace.
The knowledge we acquire is still valuable.
Well, that turns on all our Gloomlake Verges. I'm fine with that. We don't get the Archfiend trigger, but it does get out of the way. And yeah, we can Flashing Fairy Mastermind, go for the throat something. But they basically need a Sunfall. So the question is, what do they take? Fair enough. Manually tap in. They have 6. And that isn't enough. We hit in the air for 6, take them down to 2, then they go down to 0 from the Unholy Annex trigger. I do wonder what they had in their hand to require them to manually tap and leave up 1 blue, because if it was Into the Floodmoor, which I don't think this deck usually runs, I've played something very similar to this deck, or if not exactly the same deck, it doesn't run Into the Floodmoor, but that would have saved them because they could have bounced our demon. But yeah, no idea what they were playing really. Our opponent goes first. We do have our Doomsday Excruciator and Jace. We have the combo, but we do need 3 more lands. We do have a couple of pieces of removal to help us get into the mid game. Well, I think now we just duress. They're the domain deck. Temporary Lockdown does not bother us. Get Lost Might in the long run. Jace might as well. Yeah, let's take the Jace. Get Lost can target planeswalkers as well. Well, we're not that far away. I think we want to play the Doomsday Excruciator, then Jace. The only issue is if... well, let's play out Unholy Annex. The only issue is if they drew another Jace. Yeah, if they basically drew another Jace and then mill us out. But I suppose we just have to see. We don't get to see what's in exile. Another Duress would be nice. There's also the risk of a counter spell. But we have to go for it. Otherwise, we are going to mill ourselves. And basically, there's no opportunity for them to say Leyline Bind in it. Milling for 15's overkill, and I've only got 5 cards left in the library. But yeah, if they had a Jace, obviously they could have milled us out. Or if they had a counter spell, we were not necessarily dead, but we weren't far off because we would have drawn 2 cards, putting us down to 0. So those 2 cards would have, we would have needed another Jace in there basically. Biff Boff. What a name. Alright, this is an okay hand. No, very little removal. We are 3 lands away from Doomsday Excruciator, but we don't really want to play that without Jace. I think we hold up, shoot the Sheriff. I'm worried about the life loss, seeing as we don't have an Archfiend of the Dross. Right. I'm going to hold up Fairy Mastermind and go for the throat. So this will draw as a card. Well, that is the combo. And now we do have a 6/6. And there's our Archfiend. Archfiend against Urabras Forge is really, really powerful. And obviously Fairy Mastermind against Caretaker Talents. Very, very powerful as well. That's not the worst thing in the world, because we can now just Archfiend. Draw more removal. Let's see what they've got in their hand. Let's take the Helix. So next turn we can Excruciator, and the turn after that we can Jace. Now, they can Torture Tower it, so I don't mind losing the Archfiend. Yeah. And obviously, I don't mind losing the Doomsday Excruciator either. But obviously, unless they can kill in his turn, and doing 16 is probably going to be unrealistic. Because obviously we have no issue with the Excruciator dying. And there is no opportunity between casting Jace and minusing Jace. Where they can interact. So let's pay full price Jace. And yeah, they see what's coming, so they scoop it up.